where the Jedi is, or this man and his family die.
Watch and learn.
Really think I'd let you take all the credit?
Can't bring Obi-Wan! You can't escape him! We will find you! We will destroy you!
Nice try, princess.
I hope you like pain.
I'll never tell you where they are.
It's time to make those tears real.
Say something!
I'll never tell you.
Then your choice is made.
He was wise to use you against me. You serious?
Reva is possibly one of the top 3 worst Disney characters ever created. Not only is she terribly written, but she's also terribly acted. And I think a big part of that is the fact that Moses Ingram couldn't play an intimidating character. And to compensate for that, they had her yelling and screaming because they thought that would make her more intimidating. And that's one of the big reasons why it's so clear that the people behind this project, the writers, the showrunner, the director, they did not know what they were doing. They were not the right people for the job. Most people Disney hire these days are not the right people for the job. I don't know about you guys, but for me, the Inquisitors have never really been interesting or something I wanted to see. They're all incredibly boring and incredibly bland. They're nothing characters. Except for Trilla, who's the only one that isn't cringe. And to me, the most cringe Inquisitor is clearly Reva. She feels like a character that Dave Filoni himself would create. Just this random female Force user inserted into a story where she doesn't belong. To the point where they're tying her in with aspects of Luke's origin. That is stupid. She should have no idea that Luke Skywalker exists. And they have this moment where Kenobi is saying, oh, you're hunting Vader. That's what you've been doing this whole time. You're hunting Vader. I guess to get revenge for when he almost killed her. Not a great plan. Kinda silly. It's also really silly that she even survived the first time, let alone the second. 2 times getting stabbed by a lightsaber and she just walks away. And that's obviously another thing that Dave Filoni is totally fine with because he had the same thing happen to Sabine Wren. And Dave Filoni clearly doesn't understand that villains can't go around murdering a bunch of people and then regret it and then that's, oh, they're redeemed now. Because that's essentially Reva's story, but it's also the story in Tales of the Empire with that other Inquisitor. You know, the one that murdered that town full of innocent people, but because she stabbed Barriss Offee and regretted it, she's on the path for being redeemed, I guess. And I wouldn't be surprised if Barriss survived that impaling. Another saber survival. God, so many of these Inquisitor stories have so many similarities. It really goes to show how unoriginal Disney Star Wars is. But one of the biggest things that holds Reva's character back is the fact that she's absolutely a discount Trilla in basically every aspect. Her resentment towards Kenobi, that's the same with Trilla's resentment towards her old master. The fact that they were both Jedi younglings or Padawans, and also their turn away from the dark side at the end of their stories. At least Trilla's was handled correctly where she dies right after that. That's kind of the only way these characters can go out. Just look at Darth Vader. He dies saving his son and the galaxy. It's a redemption through death. That's the only kind of redemption a character like Darth Vader can have. Because he's evil. Because he killed a bunch of innocent people. Remember that? Reva cannot be an Inquisitor for years slicing limbs off of innocent people, hanging a Jedi in the streets, and oh, she cries in the sand because she almost killed Luke, and oh, now she's off to be a good guy. Fuck that. That's stupid writing. And her plans to catch Kenobi are just contrived and stupid. It doesn't make sense for her to even think about Kenobi. You know, just because Anakin was his Padawan doesn't mean Obi-Wan is at all responsible for Anakin's fall to the dark side. That's solely on Anakin's choices along with Palpatine. And that's something that they keep pushing in Disney's Star Wars. Saying Anakin's fall to the dark side was Obi-Wan's fault, or he had some blame to it, he had to apologize. Oh, I'm sorry, Anakin. Anakin should be apologizing to everyone else. And they went even further with Luke, to the point where they're just like, let's make him almost murder his own nephew, just so we can definitely put the blame on him. This show was always gonna suck no matter what, because everything on Disney Plus is fucking garbage. But a show about Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi should be a lot more interesting than the one we got. And it's because of the Disney aspects of Star Wars that brought the show down. The Inquisitors. They are fucking dumb. They should not be in these stories because they barely ever work. They've worked maybe once, and I'll get to that in a future video. It does not make sense for the Emperor or Vader to put up with the Inquisitors' existence. They don't fucking need them. They never did. What do the Inquisitors actually do except fail? Every single time they're depicted, they fucking lose. It's kind of embarrassing. And obviously these are like Dave Filoni's creations. They were introduced in Rebels, as far as I know. Rebels, a dumb baby show for dumb babies that only idiots and children would enjoy watching. And then you're trying to bring them into other pieces of media, like Kenobi. We don't need to see that. That's embarrassing. Ezra Bridger can beat them. They're not going to be a threat to Kenobi. They're not going to be intimidating to anyone. A bloody 8-year-old Princess Leia can put up with their interrogations. Think about that. They had a little girl resist Reva's interrogations, and then we're supposed to care about Reva's character or take her seriously as a threat? What the hell are people at Lucasfilm smoking? Every single thing Disney does, you can trace it all back to Dave Filoni. I know some people, even in our side of the community, the real fans who are fans of real Star Wars and the expanded universe, are also kind of fans of some stuff in his Clone Wars show that I personally think is awful. But that show is Disney Star Wars. It is everything Disney Star Wars is, and then he made Rebels, and that is also everything Disney is. Disney are taking cues from Dave Filoni. That's why everything they do is as awful as it is, because Dave Filoni is an awful writer and filmmaker. Ahsoka proves that. He wrote and directed that, and it's a pile of shit. If you don't think Reva is a character that Dave Filoni would love and would create himself and write himself, you're delusional. Like, I seriously can't get over how awful her story is, and I bet the writers thought that was so slick when they wrote it. Oh, she was a Padawan who was almost killed by Anakin, and then she holds a grudge against Kenobi for failing Anakin and causing his turn to the dark side. And then she becomes an Inquisitor to hunt Vader down and get revenge. Fucking cringe. And what's hilarious is the show was actually nominated for Emmys, which I 100% think Disney bought. They bought those nominations. They had to pay for that. WB ought to take a cue out of Disney's book and pay for some nominations for House of the Dragon, because that's the only way that show is going to get nominated for an Emmy. That garbage fucking show. Alrighty, that's all I had to say about this awful character. What do you guys think of Reva and the Inquisitors? I've never really liked them. Trilla's probably the only one I think is kind of interesting, and I'm only saying that because the rest are awful. But yeah, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, like and subscribe. I'll see you guys later.